I wasn't very good with words, and I'm not very good with words, and I let all my expressions and my love and my pain and my anger come out with my melodies. I had someone to write my words for me, and without him, the journey would not have been possible. I kind of feel cheating standing up here accepting this, because without Bernie, there wouldn't have been any Elton John at all. And I would like him to come up, and I would like to give this to him.
A remarkable moment of the 1994 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductions. That was music icon Elton John, of course, honoring the man whose words gave life to his melodies, Bernie Taupin. From a farmhouse in the English countryside to the glitzy heights of rock and roll stardom, Taupin's journey is as remarkable as the lyrics he penned. And this November, Bernie is set to join the ranks of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for his musical excellence. With us now to talk about his memoir, Scattershot, Life, Music, Elton, and Me, and of course his long overdue honor, the English songwriter and lyricist, the one and only Bernie Taupin. Bernie, thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
I feel like I should be wearing the T-shirt that Stella McCartney wore when they inducted Paul McCartney into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I can't use all of the words here, but it said about blanking time.
Yeah, I got it.
I gotta say, Bernie, I was absolutely shocked when I was reading your book to find out you weren't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's crazy.
Well, I think you probably joined a large group of people there, but I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that certain individuals felt that because Elton had given me his award, that automatically made me a member of the Hall of Fame. So I think there was some resistance over the years. But hey, that's all water under the bridge. I'm happy to join the club.
There's so many songs I want to ask you about, but first I want to talk about this book. What was it like sitting down, staring at blank sheets of paper, and saying, okay, I'm going to write about myself now?
I mean, the main thing that I felt was that I did not want to write a linear sort of memoir. I didn't want it to be A to Z. That would have pretty much bored me, I think. And besides, I'm not very good at recollections of times and dates and where things land in my sort of story. And I felt it was more interesting to just head into things at any particular point in time. Whatever happened to sort of fall into my lap that particular day I was writing. Like my songs, everything came very quickly. It was like being on the couch and sort of psychoanalyzing myself for my entire life. And I think at 73 years old, it seems like a good time to reminisce, wouldn't you think?
I need to do that myself. So I was so excited to hear about the book because I grew up with you, but I really didn't know that much about you until I opened up this book. But I was always curious about your relationship with Elton John and your songwriting relationship, because, you hear about Lennon and McCartney and that, these guys were stuck in a hotel room together for 6 years. They were together all the time. It's just the opposite with you and your songwriting partner. I love the imagery. You said the coin was flipped, but we were opposite sides of the coin. Talk about that, how once things blew up, you kind of went your separate ways.
Well, as the old adage goes, I mean, opposites attract, but in the early days, we were joined at the hip. We were writing in his mother's apartment in the years between 1967 and 1971. I mean, even after we came to the United States in 1970 and sort of played at the Troubadour and everybody thought we exploded then, I mean, there was a lot of work to come after that. I mean, we went back from the Troubadour to England, back to our bunk beds in his mother's apartment. And it was like a mini Brill building. I'd be writing sort of lyrics in the bedroom, and he'd be in the front room at the stand-up piano hammering out melodies. And that's how we started out. But as time went on, and we sort of developed our own individual lives, we did split apart, but the music still bound us, and we were still the best of friends as we are to this day.
If you will, tell the story about your song. I mean, you wrote this song that people will be singing the words to long after we're both gone. You wrote it like in like 15 minutes. It takes some people longer to eat a ham sandwich than it took you to write the lyrics to an eternal classic.
Well, it's interesting. If you've seen the movie, or if your listeners or viewers have seen the movie Rocket Man, that one, although that movie for the most part is very much a fantasy, there are several scenes in it that are very realistic and true to life. And the scene in that when we're in Elton's apartment having breakfast and I'm sort of scribbling some lyrics and I hand them to him and he says, "These have got egg on them." And that's exactly what happened. And that's so right on. It was almost just thoughts from a very, very naive individual on sort of his romantic aspirations. And that's why it has all those sort of pregnant pauses in it that makes it a little bit more quirky than the normal love ballad. And Elton just took it into the next room. And as it shows in the movie, sort of came up with the melody very quickly. So it's not particularly interesting. I mean, that's how it happened. And the fact that it's become sort of this universal classic is icing on the cake, I guess.
I was blown away by this story. I've always thought of that 74 concert where John Lennon and Elton John are on stage as just a magical moment. But you played a big role in getting John Lennon out on stage. Could you tell everybody about that?
Well, the thing is that a lot of people sort of query the fact that John was nervous about going on. They say, well, that can't have been possible because, he was at the height of the Beatles. They played Shea Stadium. They did this. But people don't realize that John had not been on stage for years. And it was a whole different ball game at that particular time. He was absolutely petrified to go on and insisted that I go on with him, which was quite ridiculous, that, as Elton said in his book, even a Beatle couldn't get me to go on stage. So I literally had to propel him onto the stage. And once he was out there and heard the response of the audience, which to this day I've never heard anything like it. I mean, it was beyond imagination. And ultimately, in the end, I did come on with him because when he came off, he pulled me onto the stage and I had no choice. It was probably one of the highlights of my life to be part of that.
Speaking of your life, you've done so many other things. Talk about what you've done. The art and ranch work and everything that you've done on the side has held your interest in some ways as much or even more than being a lyricist.
Well, yeah, the thing is that I think people think that they obviously know me most as a songwriter, and they think that that's probably something that I do 24 hours a day, 24/7. And that's so not the case. I have a lot of downtime, but I managed to fill that downtime with other endeavors and have done. I've made my own records. I've had my own band. I'm a relatively successful visual artist, and I also ranched for many years and cowboyed and sort of lived a completely different life.
Wow.
So, but as Duke Ellington said, everybody should do more than one thing, and I've done way more than one thing. Other
than the fact that you can now put on your mini list of accomplishments, New York Times bestselling author, what are you the proudest of when you look at this entire experience of Scattershot? What's given you the most joy? Well, the fact that I can put it all of the joy and the heartache and my entire career to be able to chronicle it into one book and then have it be a bestseller, I think that's probably the high point, because it encompasses everything I've done. And the fact that people are buying the book and enjoying it is probably one of the high points of my life, if not the high point of my life. It's a fantastic book, especially like fans like me that have followed you for so long but didn't know all about you. So thank you so much for being with us today. I greatly appreciate it. Great honor. Thank you, and I appreciate you having me. All right, Bernie Taupin's memoir, Scattershot, Life, Music, Elton and Me, is available now. Thanks so much. And